Howdy again, film buffs. It's Straight Shooter here for another episode of How I See It. We're getting up there, aren't we? Number 20 mark. Welcome to Team Sound Studios, my shooting home. And thanks a lot to those guys. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to give you high quality, good production values. It would kind of look like crap like my first couple videos did. This is going to be another Red Band review, fuck yeah, and it will have spoilers. So today I'm going to review the new horror movie Brightburn. And as I said in my review for The Curse of La Llorona, I'm not a big fan of horror. I kind of grew up with it, but in my years these days, I'm into horror movies that have a good story, that aren't just gross outs. They aren't just for shock and gore value, but they actually tell something compelling. And as you can tell, I'm a superhero fan, so when they said, what if Superman was not a good guy? I said, yeah, let's see what this is about. So Brightburn starts off very much the same way Superman starts off. His meteor crashes into Earth. There's this couple that finds him. They're trying to conceive a child, but they can't, so they end up taking him in. And instead of being Martha and Clark Kent in Smallville, Kansas, it ends up being Tori and Kyle Breyer of Brightburn, Kansas. So that's where we get the title, Brightburn. We see the beginning where he goes from a baby, to a toddler and a young kid, and then eventually he's an adolescent. He's 12 years old. So he starts off innocently enough. He's just trying to get through school and trying to do things that a 12-year-old does. And then all of a sudden, he gets called to his barn by the meteor that they're storing in the basement of the barn. And he starts speaking in tongues, and his mom finds him. And the mom, by the way, played by Elizabeth Banks. Love Elizabeth Banks. She's awesome. She finds him, and at first she's a little bit deceptive towards the husband, like, he was just sleepwalking, he was downstairs or whatever. But as events fold, she has to tell him, look, I found him in the barn. He didn't find the meteor, but he was standing above it, and there were some weird things happening. They understand that he's not like other kids. He's from another world, obviously. They don't know he's from Krypton. And let me address that for a minute. So the movie doesn't say where he actually comes from. It doesn't say that he's Kal-El from Krypton, and it doesn't say that he's the same person that would have grown into Superman if the Kents had found him. But come on. He has all the same powers as Superman. They probably just couldn't use the names from the Superman lore because of copyrights. They would have gotten sued or whatever. But it's basically Superman. And the whole what if is pretty interesting because the movie shows that the way Superman came to be was a combination of choices. Choices that the Kents, Martha and Clark Kent, made in raising him. And I'm not saying that the Bryers were bad parents per se, but their moral compasses weren't as pure as the Kents. There was some strife in regard to how they're raising him. The lack of harmony in the household contributed to how he ended up, because he found out that he has these powers, he's super strong, he put his hand in a lawnmower, the lawnmower broke, and that's when he realized, I'm different from other people. And then he found out he can fly, he has super speed, he can shoot beams out of his eyes. All the powers Superman has that we know. And he actually starts getting really angry and he has this superiority complex. He says, I can do whatever I want. Fuck the consequences. There are no consequences. What are people going to do? There's nothing anyone can do to really hurt him. And there was this one moment where he was in the barn and he fell down to where the meteor is and he cut himself. Superman can't get hurt because of his powers, right? But I think that's because the meteor was radiating red sun rays left over from when it was on Krypton. And that made him more like a human and not super powered like he is on Earth normal. And which was pretty interesting. They didn't have kryptonite because they didn't know about Superman and his origins and stuff. It was only them, his parents, and some other people that ran across him when he was killing people. But he starts killing people because he just has a weak moral compass. It's not just because he has the powers. It's because he has the powers and he doesn't understand what right and wrong is in human terms. Because he wasn't really taught that. I mean, he was kind of taught that, but at the same time, he didn't learn to control his urges, to control how he feels about other people. And there was this interesting part where his dad is talking to him. He's starting to notice girls. He's getting to the age where he's looking at pictures of girls in bikinis, and there was this one girl at school that he was talking to, and the way he kind of said, it's okay to act on your urges when you start to notice people of the opposite sex, when you look at women, and he said, okay. And the dad was like, okay, that was easy, good talk. But it should have went a lot further because it's not like talking to a normal human kid about it. You're talking to someone from another planet. That's, I think, where they made the big mistake, was that they treated him like he was from Earth. And they never told him that he was from another planet until he found the meteor. So he thought that they lied to him, and that's when he started to get really angry. And there was this scene where his father takes him hunting, and he tries to shoot him, but of course he bounces off of him, and Superman, what would have been Superman, kills him. Yeah, the movie is pretty much straight up horror. It's like, what if Superman was a murderous maniac? It could have easily happened if Martha and Clark Kent didn't find him, or another set of parents that didn't instill the right values in him. What if they didn't understand that Clark is not a normal human being, so you can't raise him like a normal human being? You have to raise him to pretend he's a real human being and not someone from another planet. Because they made that mistake, they weren't honest with him, and they tried to make him blend in as opposed to controlling his powers. He became a lot different than what Superman turned out to be. And it's a good horror movie because it combines superhero lore with what if this superhero was not a superhero and he was what everyone feared. He was what people would have needed a superhero for. And it's flipping the script on Superman. What if Superman was the villain? So I really enjoyed it. I thought it did a really good job of showing like an alternate universe where Superman wasn't Superman, and showing the terror that he brought upon people when he started killing them and not caring about what they were thinking or how they were feeling, because he felt like, humans are insects. I don't have to care about them. But I enjoyed it, and I went into it thinking this might be good, this could be good, but it might not be, but they really did a good job. And I definitely recommend it. I wouldn't bring your kid thinking that it might be another Superman movie because it is a horror movie. It's not for kids, and it's rated R. Like I said, it's a Red Band review, but I enjoyed it. It's definitely one of the better horror movies to come out this year so far, and I'm going to give the movie an A-. That's how I see it. I enjoyed it. I'll definitely be picking it up when it comes out on video. And what else can I say? It was a good movie. I really liked it. And I guess let me just explain. A- doesn't mean that there were things that I necessarily didn't like about the movie. But it's more that I didn't give it an A or an A+ because of the fact that it's a horror movie. And even though I thought it was a good horror movie, it's still not in the same caliber as a superhero movie. And it's easy for me to give a really good superhero movie an A or an A+, like I did with Endgame, but it's very difficult for me to go into that territory for a horror movie. So the fact that I give this movie an A- is a pretty good accomplishment for this movie. But in any case, that's how I see it. That's it for today. Stay tuned because I don't know if I'll be seeing Aladdin, but I'll definitely be seeing Godzilla next week. So stay tuned. Take care. See you on the other side.
What will become of my life?